What is going on, internet? My name is JB. Welcome back to yet another Baldur's Gate 3 build video. Today we are taking a look at a bit of an interesting multi-class here in what I am calling the Thunder Thief, which, if you just want the breakdown, is 8 levels into Elldritch Knight Fighter to get the war magic as well as 3 feats, and 4 levels into Thief Rogue to get the extra bonus action as well as yet another feat. But the idea here is to take advantage of the war magic ability and just get off a ton, and I mean a ton, of attacks per turn. And this is a very fun build. So there are a little bit of nuances that go into this build. The thing with war magic, what it allows you to do is it allows you, if you make an attack with a spell or a cantrip as your first action with your first of your extra attack as a fighter, you can then use another attack as a bonus action. So you have to booming blade the first thing on your turn, and then you get to make another attack as a bonus action, and it just allows you to use a ton of attacks per turn. This is, of course, a booming blade build. I know a lot of people don't exactly love it because it's kind of like taking over the build meta, and like everything has to do with booming blade. Oh, booming blade this, booming blade that. I get it. You know, it's not exactly the most fun thing in the world, but it is incredibly powerful, and I wanted to make a build centered around using just as many attacks as we can, and booming blade really allows that to come to fruition, as well as Thief Rogue. You get that extra bonus action, and there's even a way to get a third bonus action with this build in a particular item set. And also we have a little bit of Vaxildan from Critical Role theming going on with some Raven Queen shenanigans. This is a very fun build, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. And if you do, I would very much appreciate it if you could drop a like, drop a sub. I'm really having fun with these videos, and I want to keep pumping them out. I do have one more lined up that is a little bit booming blade-esque, but after that, I'm very much open to suggestions. I have a couple of caster builds lined up, but, you know, it's just going with the flow, making things that are fun, and hoping that, you know, you guys enjoy it. You guys have been showing a ton of support lately. The views have been great on these build videos so far, and the shorts that we uploaded of us almost losing the honor mode at the time of recording this has almost 1,000 views, and I uploaded it like 2 hours ago. So that's wild. Yeah, just thank you guys for all the support. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and go ahead and help me defeat the algorithm even more by commenting anything. Tell me your favorite nuts. I'm a big peanut guy. I also like cashews. Just, yeah, let me know what your favorite nut is in the comments down below. That being said, I'm gonna get into the build. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Well, I guess the future / past me, I don't know. Okay, whatever. All right, kicking things off here today, we have a bit of a half-elf fella to start things out, and he's kind of built around Vax from Critical Role, not exactly at all in terms of like build style or play style at all, but I wanted to use a particular necklace for this build that had to do with ravens, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this is also a rogue build, and you know, the dots just kind of connected, so I'm like, yeah, might as well kind of make it look like him. It doesn't really, I didn't put a super big effort into making it look too much like him because it's not what we're going for with this build, that play style, but you know, we do have rogue levels and an item that gives us haste, so it kind of fits, but, you know, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Also, the wiki says he has dark brown hair, and this is the darkest brown hair in the base game, and I don't know, the dark black hair was like too dark black. Whatever, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're here to do. But we are going to be starting off our levels in Fighter, because this is primarily a Fighter build, although it is going to play very much more Rogue, so if you want to take your rogue levels early, I can't exactly fault you for that. In fact, what you might want to do is take 1 level into Fighter, then get 2 levels of Rogue, so you can get your sneak attack and your bonus action stuff going, or maybe even 3 levels into Rogue to get your subclass, if you want to do that, and delay your extra attack by a little bit. But for the purposes of this, we're just going to go straight through our Fighter levels and then into our Rogue levels. But I would highly recommend taking your Rogue levels earlier than level 9, which is where we're going to be getting them. But yeah, this build is going to be pretty sick. We're going to start things off with, like I said, Fighter level 1, which gets us second win, nice little bonus action heal, and a fighting style, which you can pick. There's a couple that you can pick. Defense is always good. Dueling is probably what we're going to pick, but protection also has a little bit of merit on this build because we will be sword and board. We will have a shield. So if you want to go with protection, I can't exactly fault you for it because, like I said, it will be pretty good to be able to oppose disadvantage on an attack against your allies while you're within 5 feet of them. So, you know, that could be pretty good, but the must seeing the attacker part is what might make it not exactly work with this build. So we're going to avoid it and go with dueling, but just know protection could actually get some use in this build. Now, for our ability scores, we are, for the third straight time in my builds, going to be completely dumping strength because we actually don't need it this time. And we're going to be maxing out our dexterity. Regardless of whether or not you want to give this character Ethel's hair, we will be able to hit 20 dexterity on this character. So I would actually recommend you don't give this character Ethel's hair. It would free up a feat choice if you don't want to take a specific feat, but the kind of, you know, fits the playstyle of this build is taking that feat. It's not necessary. So if you want to just free up a feat, you can give this character Ethel's hair, but you actually don't need it this time around. So 17 dexterity as a starting point. For your constitution, go ahead and put that up to 16 because it's the next most important stat, helps with HP and all that malarkey. And then for your other ability points, just do genuinely, guys, I mean this, whatever the hell you want. Technically, our spellcasting modifier will be intelligence, so if you want to bump your intelligence up to 14, by all means, you can do that and be very greedy. If you want to go 10 intelligence, you can. You want to go 10 wisdom, you can, and then you can bump your charisma up to 12, and then have 1 point left over for a little bit of extra strength. You can do that, which actually you could do this because we're going to take a half feat later on that will give us a bump to either dexterity or strength. So you could get that strength up to 10 and still give this character Ethel's hair and take the ability improvement to get to 20. Regardless, do it however you want. But what I did in testing was... what did I do in testing? I think I just dumped intelligence because we're not really using spells that rely... Yeah, that's what I did. I just dumped intelligence because we're not using any attack roll spells, so... or anything that requires a DC saving throw. So yeah, we don't need intelligence, but it is technically our spellcasting modifier for stuff to hit, but just don't take anything that needs to hit. So yeah, that's what I did. But like I said, if you want to even that out, you can. You want to go full into intelligence, you can. Do whatever you want with those points. I just went with charisma to be a little bit more of a good talker. I also forgot to do my proficiencies. Son of a bitch. No. For your proficiencies, you can choose between athletics, acrobatics, history, a whole bunch of other things. I took sleight of hand and deception from my background. The urchin, I think it is, or charlatan, whichever one that is. I took sleight of hand and deception. So you can go ahead and grab, I would say acrobatics is probably pretty good for this character. And since you have the ability to grab perception, might as well grab perception because it is always useful. So yeah, glad I remembered to say that before I'm committing to the level up. I'm really good at this thing. I'm getting better. No, I'm not, but maybe. At Fighter level 2, we get Action Surge. You know what, you love it. It's the best ability in the game. Moving on to Fighter level 3, where we get to choose our subclass. And you can have a lot of fun with Battlemaster, but Eldritch Knight gives us a very nice ability later on that's, you know, is what we want to get online with this build. And we also get to choose some cantrips. Now, I have one more build coming out after this one that is going to rely on Booming Blade. And then we're just going to not use Booming Blade for the next like 2 or 3 builds, but this one is like a specifically designed Booming Blade build to get the most out of one of the most overpowered things in the game, because I just wanted to see how far we could push it. And with something that was recently fixed in the game, you could push it to pretty crazy levels. So yeah, this is a Booming Blade build. If you don't want to pick Booming Blade because it's overpowered or overused, probably just go find a different build video for you, because like I said, this is a dedicated Booming Blade build. Now, for your other one, I would recommend not taking anything that has to rely on an attack roll because we have no intelligence. So you're looking at either Mage Hand, Lights, Dancing Lights, Friends, Blade Ward, all useful. I think Light is probably the most useful because it's, you know, it's good for Act 2. Mage Hand is also very, very useful, so just pick your favorite. Just don't take anything that has to rely on an attack roll. LJB, Booming Blade has to rely on attack roll. Not true. Well, not true in terms of your intelligence. It relies on your weapon attack modifier, which for us is going to be dexterity, so we're fine. In terms of our spells at this level, grab Shield because it is shield. And for your other one, Magic Missile doesn't require an attack roll, just does damage, so very useful spell to take. But also worth pointing out is Protection from Evil and Good. This is a day-long buff that you're concentrating on, which there are plenty of items in the game that activate while you're concentrating. So this is a very good spell to take. And considering pretty much everything else here, aside from Mage Armor, which you won't get use out of, and Magic Missile, requires an attack roll. Does Burning Hands? Burning Hands isn't an attack roll, but it's not necessary. Yeah, I think Protection from Evil and Good actually has a pretty good spot on this build. So go ahead and grab that. You can get Magic Missile later. You can get Protection from Evil and Good later. Just take Magic Missile at level 3 because it's, well, it's magic missile. And for this expanded spell list, you get to choose a spell from the wizard list to learn. Grab yourself some utility. Again, I would recommend not taking anything that has to do with an attack roll. So one of the utility spells, the ritual spells like Featherfall, Disguise Self, Enhanced Sleep, or Longstrider are probably the way to go. I quite like Enhanced Sleep for this build because we're going to be doing a lot, and I mean a lot, of maneuvering around the battlefield. So we'll go ahead and grab that here. At fighter level 4, we get another spell and a feat. And the spell we will be taking, like I said, is going to be Protection from Evil and Good. And the feat we'll be grabbing at this point is going to be our ability improvement to get our dexterity up to 19. At character level 5, we will get extra attack because, well, that's what just happens at character level 5. You get extra attack and you can attack twice, and it's very good. We'll be doing mini and attack with this character. Moving on to fighter level 6, we get ourselves, I believe, more spells and a new feat. No, we only get the option to replace a spell. I was wrong. But we will actually be able to do something pretty fun with our spell list here in a moment. But for our feat, going to go ahead and take the athlete feat, which gives your strength or dexterity an increase by 1 to a maximum of 20. And when you are prone, standing up uses significantly less movement, and your jump distance also increases by 50%. Now, we don't have the highest strength in the world, so we can't jump the most distance, but we can jump 50% longer, which, I mean, gives us like the jump distance of a 16 strength character. That's probably not true, but you can also just take an elixir to jump wherever the hell you want. So yeah, I think it's pretty fun. And we also have enhanced sleep, so you can just leap wherever. Regardless, that bump to dexterity to get to 20 is nice. If you want to give this character level Sarah and take a different feat at that level, by all means, do you. Now, at fighter level 7, we get the main feature that we took this many levels in fighter for, that being war magic. You have honed your body and magic for war. After you cast a cantrip, you can make a weapon attack using a bonus action. I think you can see where this is going. It's going to be pretty darn cool. So we cast a cantrip, Booming Blade triggers this, and then we can make an attack with our bonus action. And isn't there just so happen to be a rogue subclass that gives you multiple bonus actions? Yeah, that's We're about to get nasty. At this level, we also get to choose some level 2 spells now. And the 2 I would recommend grabbing are going to be Darkness, because it's pretty damn good. Shatter's okay. Scorching Ray is okay, but relies on attack rolls. Well, Scorching Ray is great, but it relies on our intelligence modifier, which, again, we don't have any. So Gust of Wind is pretty good. Regardless, Darkness is the only one you're going to be keeping. We're going to be replacing spells very soon. So just go ahead and pick whatever you want for the second one. And then at fighter level 8, we get to choose from the expanded spell list, which I don't know if this is an exploit or not, but we're going to be doing a little bit of cheese at the moment. And we also get a feat at level 8. So for this spell slot, you can take Misty Step just to get access to Misty Step. It is quite good. And you can replace a spell. I would recommend replacing either Gust of Wind or Magic Missile, whatever you're using the least, probably Gust of Wind. And if you change a spell, you can actually choose from the expanded list. Again, I don't know if this is a bug or this works as intended, but we can go ahead and grab Mirror Image as well to give yourself a bunch of extra AC. Magical Weapon is also an option because it, like Protection from Evil and Good, is a day-long buff. So if you want to take Magic Weapon, you know, for your concentration, by all means, go ahead and do that. But I quite like the idea of getting Mirror Images and just being very annoying. You can also take Blur, but we're going to have that effect from an item, so don't really need to worry about that. And for your feat at this level, there are a ton of good options. Mobile is quite good here. Alert is quite good here. And Charger also is pretty damn good here. So pick your favorites. I am going to go with Charger because anything to not take Alert. Just anything to not have to do that. We'll get to that in a moment, though. And at level 9, we can finally multi-class out of Fighter. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this, take your rogue levels much earlier than this. Get your sneak attack online way before now. This is just, you know, going through as a level 12 character just to show you guys the build. But yeah, take your rogue levels much earlier if you're playing through the game with this character, whenever you feel the need. You don't need to go all 4 rogue levels earlier, but like I said, you could probably get your subclass early on. I would probably do like my first level in Fighter, my next 2 levels in Rogue, get to extra attack. So, and then get my last level in Rogue at like, what level would that be? It's level 3. level 7, level 8, something like that. A little 8 or 9. Yeah. That's probably when I would do that, and then round out with fighter in the end game. You guys can figure out the leveling scheme on your own. I trust you guys. As for your rogue ability proficiencies, your rogue skills, you can get to choose a new skill as well as 2 new proficiencies. Definitely go ahead, grab sleight of hand because it's very good. And you can get expertise in perception, get that up to a +6. It's not the best. Obviously, you can go with stealth and get +11 in stealth. I think that's probably the best thing to do. But if you want to forego that, just get +8 in stealth, which is still pretty good. You can also get a +8 into your deception, which feels fitting for a rogue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Rogue level 2 gets you hide, dash, and disengage as bonus actions, all very useful. Rogue level 3 finally gets us our subclass, in which we can go ahead and, of course, take Thief, which gives us fast hands and additional bonus action. We're going to be making a lot of attacks, as well as second story work. You've mastered the art of falling and gain resistance to falling damage. Very situational, but will be nice to have if it ever comes up. And then finally, you can do pretty much whatever you want with this last level. If you don't want another feat, like you can take a 1 level dip into fucking Hexblade just to have it if you want. You can take a level in a cleric to get War Domain. You can take Sorcerer for whatever reason. I don't know. You want more skill proficiencies, you can go Bard. But of course, the best thing to do is probably just taking this final level in Rogue and getting another feat where you can grab Alert if you want. But I have a hate for that ability because it's just annoying. Because it's so good. It's so good, it's annoying. But Mobile is also quite good. Your movement speed increases and difficult terrain doesn't slow you down when you dash. If you move away from a target after making fucking... I read that out of order and it really screwed me up, so let me try that again. If you move after making a melee attack, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from your target. That's very useful. But Alert is the better option, especially for honor mode. But like I said, I don't like taking Alert, so we're going to grab Mobile because I want to. And that is your build. So overall, what you're getting is a lots of mobility, just bukus of mobility. So much jump ability. But the main thing you are getting is just a ton of attacks, a lot of raw damage, sneak attack, and the ability to maneuver around the battlefield pretty much at will. So but of course, we can make this playstyle even better with items. So let's go into those, shall we? Holy God, that shield is gigantic. We're just gonna set that over here so we can get a better look at our boy. But starting things off with maybe the weirdest and hardest to place item slot I've ever had to deal with in this game. We have the Helmet of Grit, and I don't love it. When the wearer has 50% hit points or less, they have an additional bonus action, which can obviously be very, very beneficial to this character, as we will be making a ton of bonus action attacks, despite not having an offhand weapon. You guys saw the War Magic feature. I don't need to explain that, but yeah, it's not fantastic, as we do need to be below 50% hit points for this to activate. You can kind of like cheese that and jump off of things until you get that, or have your party members beat you up until you're there, so you can just go into fights having that, but then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So it's not exactly great, but when it comes up, it'll be very, very nice. As for other options, the Covert Cowl is very good. While obscured, the number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. So you can obscure yourself with your bonus action and in your darkness and hits things quite hard. That's also an option, probably the better use for that slot. You also have Ceravoc's Horned Helmet. You gain dark vision up to a range of 10 feet or 50 feet if you already have it, and you also get improved critical. You can't be frightened and can't be afflicted with other emotion altering conditions, +1 to con saving throws as well. It's all right. It's obviously a very late game item, but still a good option nonetheless. We have the Warped Headband of Intellect for those of you who want to take more intelligence or take different spells that require attack rolls. By all means, the Warped Headband of Intellect is a great option, as is the Haste Helm. This will get you through Acts 1 very easily, very much most of Act 2 as well. Easy for me to say. I'm real good at wares, guys. And then finally we have the horns of the Berserker. You gain a +2 bonus to attack rolls when attacking creatures that have already taken damage, and you deal at a little bit of extra necrotic damage. So yeah, as long as you don't have your full health, you can, you know, manipulate that as well if you need to. There isn't really an amazing option, like a must-pick option, so truly just pick whatever you want for this spot. I think the Covert Cal is good. I think the Helmet of Grit is probably the best option when you are below 50% HP, but that's not something you can guarantee all the time. So again, just pick your favorite. As for the Cloak of Displacement, we're a Rogue. We're a Vaxildan. He literally had this item in Critical Role, so yeah, it's very good. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. This effect lasts until the wearer takes damage. It's unbelievably good. We have a 20 AC, and that is without the shield that we're wearing. So we have a 22 AC base on this build. Yeah, it's very good. You don't get this until Act 3, so until then, you know, your Cloak of Protection, whatever other cloaks you come across, will be totally fine option as well. And then for our armor, we have the Elegant Studded Leather. You get a +2 bonus to initiative. You have advantage on stealth checks, and you get a free cast of shield, which we already have multiple of. Well, we have one other cast through our fighter levels, but getting another one is nice. You get this from the bank in Baldur's Gate in the city, so if you don't want to wait that long until you get that, there are some early game options. Of course, the Adamantine Scale Mail is very good. You can wear medium armor. You can wear heavy armor with this build, but you know, Adamantine Scale Mail can get you through a lot. The Penumbral Armor, you get this near Last Light In. It's not in Last Light In, but it's very close to it. You can look up a tutorial. While Obscured, the wearer gains a +3 bonus to stealth checks. You'll basically never be found. It's just very fitting, very on brand, very on theme. It's not the best. You can also wear Minthara's armor, the Spider Silk armor, just whatever floats your boat. But the if you're wanting to lean more into the Vax side of things, you have the Sharpened Snare Curios, which you get in Moonrise Towers. You add your full dexterity modifier to your armor class, and creatures have disadvantage on saving throws when resisting your attacks and spells that inflict restraint. We don't really do that, but this is a little bit more like his sort of vibe with the furs and the stuff like that. A little bit more on brand for Vax if you're wanting to lean into the critical role thing. Also, this is all dyed in the Mask dye from the Faerun Colors mod. So there's the dye. As for your gloves, this is another slot that doesn't exactly have, you know, too many great options. There's just a million great options. All of the regular options are there. All the heavy hitters like your Helldust gloves, Flawed Helldust gloves, anything that adds damage riders. Just there are a million different good ones, but I went with the Martial Exertion gloves just because I don't really get to use them all too often. So this gives you a class action that allows you to push past your physical limits, taking 3 to 36 piercing damage to gain an additional attack and double your movement speed this turn. Very situationally good. Can also help play into the Helmet of Grit shenanigans, so it's very fitting for the build, but, you know, just put whatever you want here. Other options are something like the Fleet Fingers very early on. Once per turn, after the wearer dashes or takes a similar action, they can jump without using a bonus action, and we can jump pretty well, so that's pretty cool. And then the Gloves of Missile Snaring are pretty fun for rogue builds as well, so, you know, just whatever you want to use in that slot, do that to your heart's content. And then for our boots, we have the Evasive Shoes, +1 to your acrobatics and to your armor class, are both very useful abilities. And then also you have the Boots of Speed. You get click kills as a bonus action, which is just a dash that does not provoke opportunity attacks, which we will have from our freedom of movement, not our freedom of movement, from our mobile feat as well. So you're really just maneuvering on the battlefield, not getting hits. And when people do try to hit you, they have disadvantage trying to hit you. So you're really not going to take a whole lot of damage except from your gloves. So yeah, that's why the Helmet of Grit just really doesn't fit, but it's cool. I like the extra third bonus action. It is what it is. As for our weapon of choice, we have the Justicier's Scimitar. If you attack with advantage, you have a chance of blinding the target, which is pretty cool. You also get the unique attack, Shadow Soaked Blow. Strike an enemy, adding your proficiency bonus to the damage. Moreover, if the attack hits, deal an additional 1 to 6 psychic damage. This attack does not break concealment, so you can be hidden, do a shit ton of damage with this strike, which will also trigger off of sneak attack and just stay hidden. It's pretty cool. If you have, of course, invisibility shenanigans going on, then it's even better. But we will have plenty of ways to put ourselves into darkness, as we have the darkness spell, as well as from the Justicier's Great Shield. So we're also kind of leaning into some Dark Justiciar stuff, but we're kind of using it more for the Raven Queen than we are for Shar, because whereas Shar is like pure evil, the Raven Queen is more neutral. It's like, I would argue, even more like good natured than even like neutral. What is she, like a lawful neutral? Probably. Alignments are stupid, but yeah, the Raven Queen is more like good death than bad death, where Shar is just plain evil. Regardless, we're using some Shar stuff. It's to get Darkness Cloak. Create a cloud of magical darkness and immediately attempt to hide as a bonus action. And of course, you know, we're hidden in the darkness. That activates, of course, you know, advantage on this weapon for sneak attack, for rogue stuff, for the extra damage from this weapon, from the extra for blinding, as well as the extra damage on Shadow Suck Blow. Yeah, it's a pretty cool combination. Obviously, you get these two items from the same character in the Gauntlet of Shar. Just talk to some rats, you'll figure it out. Other options for main head weapon, though, we have the Ambusher. You get a +1 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception checks, and in combat, you have an additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage against creatures that haven't taken a turn yet. Obviously, if you have alerts, this will always trigger, and you could just hit multiple people, like so, pretty much like the entire combat for the most part. You'll be able to hit before they even get to take a turn, which is pretty cool. With extra necrotic damage, this is maybe better, but you know, a little bit different. We also have the Cold Snap, which you can put in your offhand. Obviously, if you want to lean more into the Vax side of things, he is a dagger guy, but dagger even guy. When a creature misses you with attack, you must succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or be chilled for 2 turns. You also get a +1 to your armor class. Pretty useful. You get that benefit without the dual wielder feat. Pretty useful offhand weapon. You can also turn this into a very effective throwing build, because you do get weapon bond from Elldritch Knight, so you can bind a weapon and it'll return to you when thrown. You can turn this into a very, very effective dagger throwing build if you want to. Just be completely hit it and just chuck daggers for sneak attack damage. That might be another build all on its own, but it is definitely something you can do. As always with any rogue build, the Knife of the Undermountain King will be your best early game option by far, just getting you through a lot of the early stuff. And then we have the Sword of First Blood. Deal an additional 1d8 piercing targets to target, or 1d8 damage to targets that have all their hit points. So kind of working in conjunction with Ambusher. You're still doing a lot of necrotic damage and a lot of extra piercing damage to targets who haven't taken their turn yet. Pretty good. There's also the Sword of First Blood that I forgot to grab, that you can inflict bleeding. There are item sets that can, you know, help out with targets that are bleeding. So there's a lot of stuff to play around with. Pick your favorite weapon set. I just kind of like the darkness theme, leaning more into like the Raven Queen side of things than the Shar side of things, obviously. Speaking of the Raven Queen, you might be wondering where we're even getting all that from. Well, that would be from the Corvid token, which is also why we're getting this sick-ass feathery effect around us. You have the boon of the Raven Queen. While wearing this amulet, the wearer's jump and flying speed increased by 5 feet, so we can jump a little bit further. And they also just constantly have Featherfall, and Featherfall's effects will persist while the wearer is polymorphed or wild-shaped, and you can polymorph into a Dire Raven, which is pretty damn sick. Very cool. Love this item. And again, there wasn't really a great option for this slot. I use something like the Amulet of Misty Step for more mobility. You can use something like the Amulet of Branding to give stuff vulnerability to slashing, piercing, whatever damage type you're doing. So yeah, just pick your favorite for you know, Acts 1 and Acts 2 to get you through that part of the game until you get the Corvid token. I want to say in Act 2. Yeah, it's in Act 2 somewhere. Forget exactly where. Or no, it's not. It's in Rivington. You get it from Mattis, the tiefling child vendor. Yeah, you get that from him. So yeah, just use whatever you want to get that, obviously. As for your rings, we have the Ring of Elemental Infusion. When you deal acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage using a spell or cantrip, that element infuses your weapon. Until the end of your next turn, you deal an additional 1d4 of that element on your first successful weapon attack. And that would, of course, you know, work with Booming Blade, which we will be throwing off quite often, as well as the Eversight Ring, the wearer cannot be blinded. So we are going to be in darkness quite a bit, and now we don't have to worry about not being able to see. Other options, of course, Ring of Protection, always good. Strange Conduit Ring will be concentrating on darkness, so pick your favorite, whatever you want to do here. And then just for other options, we have, I didn't even talk about my bow. It's a Darkfire short bow, isn't it? Like, obviously we get resistance to fire and cold damage, just nice to have. And we get to cast haste on ourselves, so we do even more booming blade attacks, even more attacks in general. And you know, it's an item that gives us haste, so even more Vax. So for those of you out there that want that, it's probably the best in slot for this build. Other options, though, you can definitely get away with. This is supposed to be the Nair Misser, but you can do dual hand crossbows if you want. This is supposed to be that. The Bow of the Banshee is great. It's one of my favorite items in the game. Doesn't get talked about enough. And then if you want to go with the combination that I've talked about in every video, Surgeon Subjugation and Killer Sweetheart, you certainly can. And then if you want to be an Unholy Assassin, obviously Armor Ball would be phenomenal for this build, as well as, you know, anything that does piercing damage like the Crimson Mischief. Just, you know, go with what your heart tells you to do. That is the build, though. Overall, what you are getting is a bunch of attacks, a very thematic darkness-themed sneak attacking thunder build. I like to think of this as, obviously, it's kind of a rogue. You're playing a very roguish playstyle, but you're dealing thunder damage, which is like the opposite of what a rogue wants to do. It wants to be sneaky. I kind of like to think of it as he's just blinding everyone in the air, or not blinding, he's deafening everyone in the area, so he can just walk around and do whatever he wants, because everyone's just like, ah, my ears, they're bleeding, they hurt so bad, why is there so much thunder going on all the time? And then while they're all freaking out, you know, he just walks in and just yoinks whatever he needs to yoink. I kind of like to think of it like that. Yeah, obviously it's just power gaming, it's just building, you know, the way the game is meant to be. But if you want, you know, a little bit of theming for it, there you go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead, get on out of here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take it easy.